Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about something very particular, and that is a comic that the Batman movie is going to be based off of or possibly influenced by. Now, if you watched DC Fandome just a couple weeks ago, you possibly watched the interview with Matt Reeves, the director of the upcoming The Batman starring Robert Pattinson. This is possibly one of the biggest superhero movies most talked about, not only because of the trailer, but because of just the overall hype about this movie and it coming out next year. But one of the most interesting pieces or points that were discussed was the influence, or at least Matt Reeves' favorite Batman comic that he kind of drew influence on to create the Batman. And that is actually a comic by the name of Batman Ego. Now, there's actually a regular version of this and a deluxe version which features a bunch of other short stories. For this video, I only am referencing Batman Ego, the comic itself. I'm not talking about the deluxe edition with all these other side stories and things like that. I'm only referencing this one particular issue. Now, a little bit about the comic. It's actually more of the struggle of Bruce Wayne and Batman, his sort of internal conflict in the most showing way possible. It is Batman's struggle with himself. And what I mean by that is that we see Bruce Wayne struggle and interact with his persona, his own persona, internally, more or less, of the Batman, which is very much portrayed as a shadowy, kind of demon-like figure, which is how a lot of people see Batman in real life in Gotham City. So it's really interesting how Bruce sees himself or the persona that he portrays. So essentially the best way I can describe it is if you take Batman and Bruce Wayne as a singular character, just take it and slice it right down the middle with one half being Bruce Wayne, the other half being Batman. That's kind of the best way to describe it. And the two characters conflict and talk to one another about various aspects of their life and how they portray themselves as this creature. So it's kind of almost a dual personality in the way that it's presented, with Bruce talking to himself as Batman. Essentially, the nitty-gritty of this is just the inner turmoil of Bruce Wayne and how he deals with himself, essentially. So the fact that Matt Reeves is drawing on this comic, or at least was influenced by this comic in creating the Batman, I think that's going to give us a couple of answers as to what the struggle that Bruce Wayne is going through in this movie. Now, when I read this comic, I felt like it was very influential in the terms of obviously showing Bruce's inner struggle as to what he believes himself to be. Is he this good guy doing good things, or is he this demon that's just sort of out for vengeance and taking out and lashing out kind of against the wrong that was done to him and just pushing that all towards things that he can fix himself or can attempt to control. But I don't really know if that's the idea that Matt Reeves will be going for. But something very interesting that I noticed in the trailer is there is a shot of Robert Pattinson with his sort of Batman eye black, a little bit runny, a little bit emo, if you will. And it just sort of drew upon me that while reading this comic, I think that we may possibly get a glimpse of this struggle personified. We might get to see the Bruce Wayne aspect struggle, or at least have some type of conflict, whether it be a mirror encounter or something that a reflection of some kind, that the Batman or the demon side of him, more or less, kind of takes over when he puts on the cape and cowl. So I thought that was possibly a parallel that could be happening in this movie. I obviously haven't seen the movie. It doesn't come out till next year, but it was a parallel that I could possibly see happening where Batman, or Bruce Wayne rather, kind of slips into this Batman persona and becomes a different person, almost a creature-like nature to him, where he's very, not necessarily animalistic, but he has a lot more animalistic type tendencies where he's very aggressive and he maybe is not acting in his own right mind, I guess is the way to put it. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but I did get a little bit of that vibe just on that very quick little scene in the trailer. Not to mention there's that scene where Batman's beating the living crap out of a guy and he just looks angry, probably my favorite scene of the trailer, but I just think that that might be a parallel or something that might be slightly drawn upon. I don't in any way expect this story to be fully captured on screen. I feel like that might be a little bit too meta, especially for something that is starting a possible franchise or trilogy of some kind that Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson will be doing. But I do kind of see where they might be going from here on, at least for the first one, as Bruce struggles with becoming and wanting to fight something bigger than himself. And of course, the only way of doing that is becoming Batman, because he can only have so much power as Bruce Wayne, only have so much influence, but as something beyond that without a name or a face behind it like Batman. It's just sort of that symbol, kind of going back on to Batman Begins. I think that's where a lot of the struggles and a lot of the storyline is going to come. Obviously, outside of dealing with the Penguin, the Riddler, and Catwoman, as Batman has to fight all three of them in some sort of way and get through those various villains that he has in his rogues gallery. I think that's going to be the main root of the story, possibly of the entire franchise or trilogy. Now, very quickly before I wrap this up, the only thing that I don't like about Batman Ego and the way that it could possibly be presented on screen is if they kind of treat it like a Venom. And if you have read this comic, I'm going to show you probably a couple of screen caps here where you can get an idea of what it looks like. But I feel like it kind of looks like Venom in a lot of ways, the way it acts, the way it kind of has that sort of symbiotic nature to it where it's kind of evil, but not necessarily in a fully bad way, but it also wants to hurt and like cause those chaos moments and that pain that was kind of inflicted on it. I don't really know if that makes sense, but if you look at the comic and you kind of see what Venom is, or how even the Tom Hardy movie was portrayed, I got some real Venom vibes. I don't know if it was because there was a certain smile that the Batman persona did when he was obviously outside of Bruce Wayne, but that's just the vibe that I got when I was looking at the comic and how it presented itself. I don't think that that's what's going to happen by any means. Please don't make that happen, Warner Brothers. But I think that's the one aspect that they're really going to have to toe the line and be careful with. They don't draw upon that, because otherwise we're going to get into some territory that you're going to be drawing on another property, not only any property, but kind of a Marvel parallel or very similar to that Venom style. So I don't think they're going to do it, but my fingers are crossed that they stay way clear of that storyline. So those are essentially my thoughts on Batman Ego, where it could go in the Batman, what could possibly be influenced or drawn upon. If you guys have read Batman Ego, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you think that some of the things that I've said in this video may come across in this version of Batman? Do you think we might get something a little bit different? Obviously, we're going to get some more detective type Batman, some things we maybe haven't seen before. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Also, leave a thumbs up if you did like this video, as well as hit that subscribe button and notification bell if you haven't already. I am on my way to 300 subscribers, so if you hit that subscribe button, you can possibly be entered, or you will be entered rather, into a giveaway for my 300 subscriber giveaway. So make sure you guys do that. Also, make sure you guys check out all my other videos. Hit my subscribe button over here if you want to hit on that one, or if you want to share these videos. Also, check out my thoughts on the Batman trailer from DC Fandome, which I'll leave right over here. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next one.